Hi, and welcome to another episode of Connecting Women Who Break Barriers. Today, I have the beautiful Julie with me. How are you today?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm great. Let's start with a bit of your story, Julie. How did you become a beautiful Reiki master? That's how I know you. You're my amazing Reiki guru and more, an amazing mentor. And it would be nice to know where you came from and how you got to here.
Yeah. So, Reiki, I mean, Reiki is one of my greatest loves. And through a time, it would have been around 18 years ago, through a time of difficulty for myself, I went in search of self-healing, techniques or different kind of healing techniques. But Reiki really found me, which was kind of beautiful because I actually didn't know what Reiki was when it did find me. And it was quite a beautiful way that it came into my life. By chance, having that experience really kind of woke me up to the beauty of Reiki and how it made me feel during a time when I really needed some more support to my healing, when I was changing a lot of things in my life. So I had a good sort of core time in my late 20s where it was, yeah, I really needed to focus on finding my authentic self and really moving from, I guess, like the old way of me into what could be the most content or happiest or authentic version of me. And Reiki was a big part of that. So when it found me, and I discovered all about it, I went through the journey of a lot of healing with Reiki. I had a wonderful woman I was going to, and I received Reiki, and alongside receiving Reiki, I really focused on healing, like all healing of all parts of me. So physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. I worked through everything quite deeply, because truly wanted to feel at home with myself again, after many years of not feeling home and not really knowing what home felt like within myself, and wanting more actually out of life. I actually wanted to feel that I was living a life that felt like it was in alignment for me. So by going through the experiences of Reiki, it really helped to open that up. But then, of course, doing my own work next to Reiki. So from that, that's where I just fell in love with Reiki so much that I ended up really wanting to help others through supporting them with Reiki through their own journey and emotional healing. Because I find that Reiki is quite connected with emotional healing as well as physical and spiritual, mental. I have a bit of a love of talking about emotions and the heart. So, going into Reiki, it enabled me to sit with people like people sat with me. And so that's been, yeah, where I've gone.
For anyone that doesn't know what Reiki is, can you
Yeah.
tell us
Yeah.
what exactly it is and how does it work?
Yeah, absolutely. So Reiki is known as the universal life force energy. So it's the energy that surrounds us all and it's accessible to us all. And it's also known as like the natural healing. So, we know that say you trip over and hurt your toe, the first thing that we do is we put our hands on the toe to, help ourselves, like to try and ease the pain or the discomfort. And so Reiki is a hands-on healing in order to really bring through that relaxation element. So when I describe Reiki to people that have never had it before, it's like it takes you into this beautiful meditative state. So it's like you're not asleep and you're not awake. So you go into this really beautiful meditative state, which enables the intelligence of your body to know how to heal itself. So really, we're bringing it into stillness. We're allowing the universal life force energy to move through any kind of stagnant energy or blocked energies, or even bring things to the awareness. Sometimes when you receive a Reiki, there's, when you're on the table, you might come off and go, oh, I just got a really good idea. Or I feel like something's going on with my stomach. Or, there's all these little things that happen for you on the table. So it's the intelligence of Reiki working with the intelligence of your whole being that brings through what the healing really is all about. So the most simple form really is that you go into a meditative state, like I mentioned, that brings about that safe space for healing on all levels. Stillness is a real key.
And one of the main things, even though you're a conduit of that healing, I just
Yeah.
want our listeners to know that it is a form of self-healing as well. We're
Absolutely.
not necessarily doing anything as a Reiki master myself. We're not doing anything to enforce healing.
You know, the person that gives the Reiki, we're known as the conduit or the channel for Reiki. So it's like this beautiful grounded connection. So I remember wondering what was useful of me, and I think I've probably shared it with you when we've sat together, of like, why do I need to be, you know, there in between this universal life force and this beautiful person on the table? And what I then understood was that it's actually I'm needed to ground the energy. So I'm like that middle person so that that energy can be brought through, and this beautiful one-way street. So it's not our energy. We're not doing anything, you know, I would say magical as such, even though it sounds it. It's this beautiful natural way of allowing positivity and this divine essence of the universal life force energy that surrounds us move through in that way that that person can receive. So they don't receive our energy, we don't receive theirs. It's this beautiful one-way street. You know, there's connection in terms of things that sometimes in a Reiki session that the healer may sense or pick up on, and vice versa with the client may also notice things happening for them too. And that's about connection. That's not because someone is going, oh, I'm picking up on this energy and I'm taking it on. It's actually all about the connection, and that you've created a space from being that conduit of holding this heart to heart and soul to soul kind of safe space for that person.
And I love that because, as the podcast says, it's about connecting women who break barriers. So if
Mm,
you're allowing women to feel connected in a safe
yeah,
space, the
yeah,
biggest is we're providing them with a platform to work through the healing that they need in a safe manner, but also know that you, as their Reiki conduit or the channel, are there to support them and have a bit of a soft landing. Because
yeah,
sometimes, you know, the things that come out on the table, I know for myself, emotions do arise as well.
yeah,
It's nice to know that if you go to Julie for a Reiki session, she's holding space for you, you're safe. And also the Reiki is intelligent enough that it will bring to face value what you need to potentially work on at that point. And then it's then
absolutely.
fine in terms of what they do with that going forward, whether they're ready to work with it or not. But
Yeah.
you're providing essentially a safe space and platform for the client
Mhm.
then to really start their own healing journey.
Absolutely. I was reflecting before on like energy healing, like, and all forms of energy healing, really what it is. And I think the sort of the umbrella over any type of energy healing as such, the goal is to bring order to chaos. So the body, when it's out of alignment, has a level of chaos, you know, whether it's a physical misalignment or illness or something like that, or emotion. So the energy work, whether it's Reiki or something else, or even meditation, is really trying to bring order back to the being, the whole being. So in order to do that, the healing itself and Reiki can do that, but it's also up to us after the session to go, okay, so say for example, it really came up in conversation or through the Reiki after a conversation, or even during when the person was on the table, they've had a bit of an epiphany that maybe their physical health hasn't been at the optimum, and there might be some things that they can do. So from that point, that's the kickoff. Okay, so to work with the Reiki and to work with the healing energy itself, what can I change that brings me back into true alignment in my physical health? And it could be I need to go do Pilates. We were just talking about Pilates today, you know, going into Pilates, or it might be eating different food or drinking more water or walking. It could be anything. And it might be actually letting something go, you know, as well. So there's lots of different elements, but the key to any kind of healing energy work is to do your work as well. And so it takes this kind of um, I guess, reliance of Reiki to be the thing that can, or any energy healing to be the thing that does the work for you. You know, we work with, we're our own healers. So we work with the Reiki, not the Reiki work for us, if that makes sense. We work in a together. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's a really valid point. When it comes to healing, there's no magic pill. There's no, you know, I do it once and then things are just hunky-dory all of a
Yeah.
sudden. Yes, they will be better with every, you know, session that you have and every effort that you put into your own healing journey. But I
Yeah.
think critical bit is it's a starting point. If you've never had Reiki before, or if you haven't had any form of energy healing, the reason I was really drawn to it, similar to what you're saying, I was going through life experiences and I was looking for a way to heal and feel. And then I met someone who did massages with Reiki. And I was like, wow,
Same
this
as
is
what happened for me. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
so this is so cool. I'm getting to relax and I'm sure I'll feel great afterwards. What more could I want, right?
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So I believe Reiki does come to you, but I feel like if you're fortunate enough to experience Reiki, it is really a bit of a catapult into your own healing journey because for me,
Mm,
Reiki is a form of self-love. So if we
yes.
talk about Reiki training, Julie, for any of our listeners that might be interested in it, what
Mm,
does the Reiki training actually look like if you want to become either a Reiki practitioner or a master? Because I think for me, the reason I went down that path is because self-healing was really important for me.
yeah.
Um, what's your take on doing training?
Yeah. Oh, look, exactly the same for me. Like I think going through receiving Reiki for so long and then going, oh, I'm so in love with this for how it's created a bit of a foundation for me for my own healing, but it helped me to change my life. Like it was like my consistent kind of uh, the thing that held me as I created change. So that led me into obviously wanting to learn Reiki, coming into wanting to get into the levels of Reiki. There is a few different lineages, and I think it's very intuitive which way you go. I think it's, there's no right or wrong. The essence of Reiki is exactly the same. The light's exactly the same. It's just that the way that we work with the lineages are potentially a little bit different. And it's just more of the influence of who's actually worked with those particular lineages. So the one that I'm in, and that obviously you are also in, is a Sui Shiki Ryoho lineage. And the founder of Reiki is Mikao Sui. So it's known as the traditional, it was close to the traditional way of working with Reiki. So we do a level one, which is like the Reiki that welcomes you into Reiki. You become the channel. You receive your attunements, which is like a fine tuning of your energy to match with, to allow the Reiki energy to be worked with. And you can practice on family and friends and yourself. And the core of that one is very much around yourself. So it's very much opening up the gateway of how do I help to heal myself, and then sharing it with friends and family. So during that level, I talk a lot about what are you going to like doing it for you, giving yourself Reiki every day, bringing Reiki into your life on all forms every single day. And then if you choose to go to more of a practitioner level, like, so if you do want to bring it into like business, or you might already be someone who does massage or something else, or facials and things like that, Reiki is magnificent to kind of anchor into potential other work or be like your base work. So you can do the practitioner level three with our lineage. It's 3 months after, and that enables you to move into more of that advanced learning. So there's some things that we learn in Reiki too that enable you to kind of up level the Reiki, but up level you in the Reiki, and also learning a bit around distant healing as well, which is really, really special. And then if you wish to, because there's no rules, you do what you want, and you don't have to do, one and then go absolutely 3 months later, I'm in Reiki 2. You might have a few years in between. It really doesn't matter. There's no real rules. But you must have a minimum of 3 months for integration. The Reiki 2, you've got 6 months of integration between Reiki 2 and Reiki 3A. And Reiki 3A was brought in to help to create kind of like a bit of a bridge between Reiki 2 and your Reiki master training. And so the Reiki 3A is focused a little bit around like shadow work, and it's like the unconditionally loving approach to shadow work. So it's quite beautiful. It's hard work, but a beautiful hard work, if that sits right. And we advance it again, we up level the Reiki again. And then your Reiki master teacher, we do Reiki master teacher is what's in our lineage, whereas some Reiki master. And really the difference is it sets you up as a teacher, it gets you ready. So we work through mentorship. So it's 6 to 12 months of individual mentorship. So all other levels are in groups. But the mentorship is one-on-one, so it's very much tailored to what you need. And you would remember from your experience that, every week feels different, when we do lots of different things, and it's very much self-development, self-awareness, self-awakening. And it's quite nice to deep dive in a really loving space. It's just yours. And then when you get to the end of that, you are able to teach Reiki if you wish. And you've also really expanded and up leveled your Reiki practice itself.
Yeah, nice. And for anyone that is not ready to do some work to heal,
Mm.
when you're going through, things in your life in the past, were there any moments where you're like, no, this just feels too hard. I don't want to try. I don't want to go
Mm.
down that path of healing because,
Yeah.
it's just easier not to. Because
Mm.
a lot of people, not only women, feel like I might as well just stay as is. It's just easier that way.
Yeah. The funny thing is it becomes not easier. That's what I found. So it sounds easier because you think, if I just stay here and just kind of just do my thing, it can everything I'm feeling can kind of, just sweep by, but it doesn't. That's the thing. It'll still rise up and it's still, um, yeah, to come into feeling like the work is a payoff or does really have a reward is when you're really reaching for like your why. So I always think of like my why, and that's what got me through. So I've had moments where I'm just like, oh, this is, really hard going. It might be really emotional. There's things that life does that. We're humans, so we get the curveballs, we get challenges. It's really normal. That's actually part of our life experiences. And, we have moments of going, oh my gosh, why did that have to happen? But it's just all part and parcel of this human existence, right? We do get those challenges. But one of the things that really helped me through those moments that you're touching on is just really knowing why I'm doing what I'm doing. So if I was in a space where it was really hard to kind of break through moments of going continue on with the healing, like to push through or to find something else I might need. Maybe the way I was, working on things, I needed something else or someone else to be by my side. That was fine, but to connect back to why I was doing it in the first place, like what I was searching for within myself was what keeps me coming back. But it's really normal to have speed bumps. Like it's really normal to just go, I'm going to fall down for a smidge and I'm going to watch Netflix for a little while and just kind of reset and just be a bit nothing, even if it's for a day or so, or it could be longer, and then go, okay, I'm coming back. But
Yeah.
it's giving yourself that opportunity to sometimes just a little bit of rest. That's rather than working all the time at self-healing.
Yeah, I love that. For women who are struggling with something at the moment, and it could be anything, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, and they don't even know where to start. Been a mentor for me for quite some time. You've got a lot of different modalities that you provide and different levels of support. What would you say to that one person who's like, I don't even know where to go. I don't know what to do. If
Don't know
they're
what to
not,
do.
yeah, if they're not ready for Reiki as yet, or they're
Yep.
not for that big epiphany, they're just like, I just need my hand held for a little bit.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, because sometimes it is just going, can someone hang on to me for a little bit? So there's a few things there's because I definitely recognize that that's happened for me and would have happened for many others when you just go, I don't quite know what to do. And so a lot of it is knowing it's safe that for you to go into certain places that could hold you. So if you need the handheld for a bit, it could actually be literally going to a yoga class. Like it could be the small things like being around like-minded or being around like you mentioned the word soft landing before, like being somewhere that feels like a soft landing kind of can create this kind of ability for people to go, okay, it's safe here. Maybe I can just talk to someone a little bit about how I'm feeling or what's going on. So that's kind of like community and support is a real key. The other part is and it sounds really simple, but I love journaling and we've talked about it a lot as well. Automatic writing or purge writing, I think is really, really important. Um, and anyone that is kind of going, I don't know where to start or who to ask, and I'm feeling pretty awful. When you do like purge writing, when you just kind of get everything out of that the chattery brain and onto paper and you just pour it out, you start to see themes, you start to see perhaps even issues that really rise up. There's a lot of repetition when something's going on. We tend to say the same sort of stuff, or we are looking for something else, and it starts to open up potentially the different kind of ways that we can go in terms of what do I need. So it might even go, okay, well, physically there's something happening there, or emotionally I need something too. And I think to keep really expansive, like there's no right or wrong way really with healing. It's about going to what calls to you, and it could be, the healing journey for some people is going for lots of walks or going to the ocean or something like that. And the next person, it might be sitting with a therapist, so it's so different for everybody to navigate.
Yeah. Writing for me has definitely made a big difference. And for anyone that doesn't know, Julie has an amazing journal, which is actually write and release. So you do get to put things on paper. And for anyone that hasn't actually done journaling before, and Julie's an advocate for this, just write, I don't know what to write. Even if you
Yeah,
start that
yeah,
place when you feel really overwhelmed, from those words itself, you'll
mm.
get taken to whatever you need to release or whatever you need to write about at that point. Because sometimes even putting pen to paper feels a bit daunting.
You just sit there like,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And it can
yeah,
be confronting as well, right? So I
yeah,
think having a community of like-minded people around to support you is great. But we are on this journey of life alone to some extent as well, because I
yeah,
believe that no one can really understand what you're going through to the level that you can, as much as there's amazing people around us. So
agreed.
a
Mm.
moment to write it down, to really not even overanalyze it, just rip it up and throw it out. But I think if you write it down, it gives you, as Julie said, a bit of direction on what potentially you could do next. And even if you don't get that through your writing, you'll feel a
Mm.
lot less.
Lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a good point where you said that sometimes it's really hard to know. You just can literally sit there with your pen going, oh, I don't know what to write. So I get people to start with questions. So it might be, how am I feeling today? Like that's what's in the journal. Like, how am I feeling today in this moment? That's how that starts. And so you go, okay, I'm going to answer that. And it starts things. And when we write like that and we just keep writing and we don't worry about grammar or spelling or how messy it is, which is hard for the perfectionists, but you get used to it and you literally let that just be something that's kind of falling out of you. That logical part of you kind of takes a little bit of a backseat, and the intuitive side, the feeling side, the emotional comes through and starts to go, this is what I'm really feeling. So you get deeper. So the longer you go, the deeper the writing can go. And all of a sudden, you're starting to self-heal through yourself. So you're being, like you're saying, your own advocate, and you're actually recognizing the things within you that needs healing or is already healing, or you can work out so much through those moments. And it's absolutely an inner journey. And the tribe that you kind of surround yourself with, if you choose to have people that come along on that journey for different things, are people that you can kind of lean to for a while, but you're always going to come back. You're still the one that's doing the work. You're always going to come back to yourself.
The other thing that Julie is well known for, and I absolutely love, is aromatic kinesiology. So we'll talk about that in a minute, but just for anyone who is not ready for, those in-depth moments, the benefit that I've found from aromatic kinesiology and why I love it is I'm a huge person that gravitates towards scent. So if other parts of my body are being stimulated, which is also helping me, just be in the moment, really feel what I need to feel at that point in time, I feel it's more effective, because there are moments where I'm like, I don't want to write, I don't want to think, I just want to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Hmm.
sometimes just being can also be a little bit confronting. But what I've found with aromatic kinesiology is even just smelling the scent that is given to me is enough. And it just
Yeah.
helps me get on the other side of that internal chatter that's not really doing me any favors in that moment. So what is aromatic kinesiology?
I'm so in love with aromatic kinesiology. It's possibly the newest part that's come into my work, but it has sort of entered from about the start of 20 or around 2020, right in the middle of, when things were going on for us all. Aromatic kinesiology was something that I allowed into my life, even though I'd already had played with essential oils and things like that. So it's this beautiful creation by the founder, Robbie Zeck. She's a long-term kinesiologist. She's brought through this method of working with like your essential oils with scent, working with aspects of kinesiology, and also working with like sort of counseling techniques in a way, or just wording, like talking through things. So it's like an emotional support. So there's this beautiful kind of blend and integration between all of that. So what then happens is we can work with reframing. It's like creating beautiful new pathways of thoughts or understanding, and even the ability to allow that sense to transport you to a new feeling or a new awakening, a new realization. So it's quite beautiful. I really have fallen in love with it, and it weaves so beautifully into everything that I do as well. So yeah, you would know from the sessions that they're very interactive. So if you come from an aromatic kinesiology session, we're kind of working together, we're talking, we're doing muscle testing, we're allowing the body, like your body, to be the one that gives all the answers, you know. And so it's quite lovely because you can have these moments going, oh, of course, because your whole being is actually answering from that really deep cellular level. It's not me doing that. That's you actually having that self-awareness from somewhere that perhaps was a little bit deeper as well. Yeah.
And in the session, as I mentioned about the scent, what, just for anyone that hasn't experienced it and why it's even more special, is based on your body's response to the questions that Julie does ask, and you know what's happening for you at that point in time. You generally walk away with a beautiful scent that's going to help you to, you know, deal with whatever it is that you're dealing with at that point. So it's very in the moment type thing, and it allows you to actually work on whatever it is that you're working on. And every session is different. Every time I've done it, I think I've had a different scent. And
Every
then
time.
yeah, with the you know, as you mentioned about the reframing, there's also a beautiful affirmation that goes along with the scent, which again feels really personalized. So I think that's the biggest benefit for me when it comes to aromatic kinesiology, is that you feel like it's all for you. And you know, that's
Mm.
what makes it a little bit more special, because you know that with, again, all the work that you do for yourself, it's taking you to a place that you want to go to in future, because you're doing the work to heal and to feel and really to nurture yourself. Because for me, aromatic kinesiology, whether you smell the scent or whether you massage it, it's a moment for yourself to just give yourself a little bit more love and the, I guess, care that you need.
And it's quite incredible. You would remember this from yours too. When you smell a particular scent that has been chosen by your whole being, so that personal scent. And we work with 60 particular oils that have an emotional connection to them, from going from a restricted state into a much more expanded state, or a contracted state, I should say, into a more expanded state. So with that, we're moving something, but really lovingly. It's very much heart-based work. It's just so anchored into the heart that you kind of come to the end of it and go, oh, you know, I feel this difference in me, but it's been really gently created, like the gentle motion of it. And that scent itself can transport you. So even from having that one scent that muscle tests up for you, that it will take you on its own journey. And there's often a lot of memories and things that can come from smelling a scent. I've had a few people that have smelt a scent and go, oh, I remember my grandmother's garden or something like that. Like it's taken them somewhere, and all of a sudden, you know, things are moving within them because they're having this emotional memory reel coming up for them. Or it can be quite emotional as well. There could be a shift through a big cry that can happen just from smelling a scent. So it's a really beautiful, beautiful work. I'm very grateful that it discovered me and I discovered it.
Yeah, and so am I. I just love it. It's probably one of my favorite sessions to come to you for. So
Oh,
I'm glad we get to experience it. Just on closing, Julie, you mentioned about
mm.
you know, leading or listening to your heart. For anyone that's struggling a little bit at the moment or hasn't fully connected to following their heart,
Yeah.
What would you say might have been a bit of a turning point for you, or how do you now remember or remind yourself to follow your heart just a little bit more?
Yeah. Um, I guess the giveaways for me is if I'm not in that space is that, you know, how I was mentioning going from chaos to order. It's that feeling. You get that kind of feeling within you when you go, oh, I'm in chaos, even though you may not necessarily see that, but it could be emotional or mental or physical or anything. Um, if my little giveaways or there's something within me going, you're not quite right. One of some of the first things that I try and do is to go to a space where I can allow some stillness in, because when we're in that space, it's really hard to feel or hear the heart. You're just in the headspace and you're doing this big spin, or you're in deep overwhelm, anxiety, all the things. So when we can bring a little bit of stillness in, and that doesn't mean that all of a sudden you drop tools and you're off for a week, which might be for some, and that's completely fine as well. But it just means that you can bring moments of time into your life that enable you to just stop and to just go, okay, how can I reel back a little bit? How can I listen to what's happening for me on the inside? Um, and that could be you just, again, go for a walk. It could be you sit on the couch for half an hour and just breathe. You know, you might listen to a meditation, you might just do very simple actions. And part of it is to start to learn, and this comes with practice, and some of it will be kind of asking yourself questions to differentiate when it's your head talking to when it's your heart talking. So when the head talks, often it's probably a lot faster. It's got a lot of information. It can be a bit more erratic at times when you're in a state of overwhelm. And sometimes it's actually quite negative when you're in a state of overwhelm. It's like everything that's going wrong rather than what's going right. Whereas heart leads us to simplicity, and it leads us to quietness and stillness as well. So it's like you will hear within you when you're actually connecting to the heart, because it will speak with more kindness, or you will feel more kindness and self-awareness or even unconditional love. But the head will be the one that's kind of taking you out of the heart space and and being noisy and kind of, potentially a little bit more negative. So, to drop into heart is to do simple, loving things, quiet things, restful things. And like I was saying before, not everyone has a heap of time on their hands a lot of the time. So you can do things in like 10 minutes, which could be literally focusing on breath and going, okay, the more I focus on breath, what is it that I'm needing? How am I truly feeling? What does my heart feel? How do I feel right here when I put my hands on my heart? Things like that. Like you can actually have those conversations with the heart. And does this meet my heart's needs, or is this something that is actually not of benefit? We can do all these kind of self-exploratory questions to drop into the heart space.
In awe. I love it all.
You're so gorgeous.
Yeah, the more, we connect to our heart, the more we're led to following our passions, the more, we shine bright and we don't, as you said, you got to be your authentic self. And I think that's really important for all of us to get an opportunity to be our authentic self and, to really love life. And yes, we've got all these ups and downs that we're going to have to
Of course,
navigate. That's just,
always.
but, the more we do connect to our heart and the more we listen, to the
Mm,
quiet moments and know that someone's always got our back when we need it. There's a community of women and men around that are willing to support us. It makes going into the heart more special because
yes.
we're not alone. And yes, sometimes there is pain that we need to go through, but the more you connect within, the more life can be beautiful.
Yeah. And I think you go through challenges differently. Like when there's more, you're able to go to that still point within or just come and drop into the heart. When challenges come in, it's like you're resourced up. It's like your tank's full. So you still are challenged, but you're not kind of knocked right off your kilter quite as much as perhaps if you didn't have that part of you that was really built up or feeling like you had that foundation. I think you were talking about, having the people that you can go to. Sometimes we're not sure who to go to. I think you can really just kind of put it out there and go, you know what, a universe or, my spiritual team or whatever, or even soul, find, you locate, you show me. That's exactly how Reiki came into my life. I didn't know what I was looking for. And then it just by chance, and exactly the same as you happen to be having a massage booked in with someone that does Reiki. And that was it, and that was wonderful. It was just so divinely orchestrated for me. So there is a trust element in that you can kind of navigate your way with the right people as well, if that's what you're needing. But I'm a big believer in having a beautiful tribe around you that you can go to when you need for whatever you need. And it could be, lots of different things could be for your tribe. And then you can lean on, but the rest is that beautiful kind of realization within yourself that you are your healer, and you've definitely got this. Like, and you can change your life. But the person that I was in my 20s, I was happy to an extent, but I also wasn't, because I didn't feel like I really knew who I was. I didn't know myself. And it wasn't until I kind of went, actually, you're not yourself. You're potentially more of who everybody else might need you to be, or you think they need they need me to be, which they didn't. They just want me to be happy and be myself. And as that time came where I self-navigated that, I am happy, and because it feels more real. And I have hard days, we all have the difficult days, but I've got that foundation now that I've got something to fall on, or there's resources, or there's tools within me that can go, you're okay. You do have this, and you can keep moving forward and keep navigating life with a big open heart and see what comes.
I love that. Is there any final things that you have for our guests before we wrap up on this
Before we
conversation
wrap
that's brought me to life as well? I love it.
up.
And I love talking about the heart, but I think, it's always nice to know that we can have our own back no matter who else is there to support us.
Yeah, I think that probably the last thing, and I know I've kind of got around this area anyway, is just be really kind to yourself. Like, we can be our own worst critic, like most of us are, but to actually be really kind on the healing journey, or the awakening journey, or whatever journey you're on, um, is to go, it's okay, I'm doing the best I can. And I forgive myself if I have a day where I do have lots of tears, or it's okay if I do. And just to be really gentle and kind and compassionate, that everything's a process. And it's like we're all a work in progress, or whatever that saying is, because we are. We're that's kind of what life is. We're unfolding a lot of who we are through our whole entire lifetime, and probably for many, right till the end. And so, I think that kindness, the self-kindness, which then ripples out obviously with kindness to everybody else, but being just a bit more gentle with yourself, because we can be really harsh. And I think that's important to know, just to soften.
Yep. Kindness is key. I
Yes.
And, in the tough moments, it's even more necessary. The more kinder
Yeah.
we are to ourselves, the easier
Yeah.
it is to navigate
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. And just to pull yourself up on that too. Like, if you feel like it's kind of, you're all of a sudden being really hard on yourself, to go, "Oh, okay, hang on a sec," and actually know when to draw a bit of a line of sand with yourself and go, okay, so that's been happening. That's okay. I forgive myself for running down the road with that negativity, but now I'm going to come back to a bit of compassion to myself. So it's like you kind of pull yourself back.
Love it. Thank you so much, Julie,
Thank
for
you.
being here. I know everyone that's listening would have learned many, many things. If you do want to have a beautiful session, whether it's Reiki, kinesiology, and more, Julie is located in Bacchus Marsh, but as she mentioned, Reiki is also available as an online healing modality as well. So I will be sharing all of her details in the show notes. Please connect with her. She has helped change my life, and I know that she'll do great things for you as well. And I love you and I appreciate you. Thank
Thank
you for being
you.
here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been beautiful to chat with you.
Yeah, likewise. And to our listeners, remember that there is a tribe around you that will support you. Your own healing journey is just as special. And if you need anything, please reach out and take care.